The laughter is what breaks you first. It echoes through the marble halls above, sharp, cruel, delighted. The kind of laughter that tells you someone else is suffering is tonight's entertainment. You wake in darkness. A windowless chamber. The air stinks of sweat, fear, and olive oil. The stone beneath you is damp, clinging cold against your bare skin. Your ribs throb. Bruises bloom purple and yellow like rotten fruit. The iron shackle at your ankle gnaws deep. The skin torn raw. The blood flaking when you move. 15 years old, though time means nothing now. Birthdays stopped mattering the day you were sold. Then, footsteps, sandals slapping marble. Slow, heavy, inescapable. The door scrapes open, flooding the chamber with blinding light. You squint, hand trembling against your face, and in the frame stands the overseer, a mountain of muscle and scars. A man who knows how to break the will of children. Clean yourself, he growls, tossing a damp rag at your feet. The master has guests tonight. His gaze drags over you, cold, calculating, like a butcher measuring meat. Then comes the smile, thin, cruel, certain. You're going to help entertain them. Your throat closes, because you already know what that means, and the night hasn't even begun. They didn't take you because of who you were. They took you because of what you were worth. Long before the chains, the decision was already made. Maybe your family owed silver to a wealthy landowner. Maybe raiders stormed your village during yet another war. Maybe you were simply born beautiful in a world where beauty could be sold. In the Greek countryside, life balanced on the knife's edge. A drought, a bad harvest, an injured father, any misfortune could mean ruin. First, families sold their livestock, then their jewelry. But when desperation grew sharp enough, they looked to their children. The merchants arrived like vultures, smelling hunger before it showed on faces. They set up in village squares with chains coiled at their feet, and ledgers filled with empty lines. 20 years of service for a handful of silver, enough grain to keep a family alive through winter. It sounded reasonable, even generous, until the bargaining reached your name. You remember the moment, your father's hands trembling as the merchant inspected your teeth like a horse, your mother turning away when rough fingers pressed into your arms, testing muscle, testing price. You were 12 then, old enough to feel shame, too young to understand desperation. The merchant's silver coins flashed in the sunlight, each one a year of your life, and when they clinked into your father's palm, you understood. You weren't a son anymore, you were payment. The road is long, and the chains are heavy. Iron collars link you to the boy in front of you, his neck raw and blistered where the metal rubs. Behind you another stumbles, yanked forward until he learns to keep pace. Dozens of you march together, a caravan of flesh. The older ones stare at the ground, eyes hollow, already resigned. The younger ones weep until their voices vanish, or until a guard's staff silences them. The land around you is beautiful, rolling hills draped in olive groves, seas sparkling like scattered glass, mountains where eagles circle in the blue, but you see none of it. Your world has shrunk to the rattle of chains and the rhythm of feet striking stone. At night they drive stakes into the earth and fasten you like dogs. You curl in the dirt, listening to the muffled sobs of boys who still dream of their mothers. The iron collar digs into your neck like a verdict. No escape, no tomorrow, only this. Sometimes men come to look at you, not guards but buyers. They walk among the chained bodies with calculating eyes, their fingers soft, their tunics rich. They prod your shoulders, force open your mouth, comment on your skin. Some are farmers looking for strong arms to break soil. Others want household servants, obedient, quiet, easy to command. But there are a few whose touch lingers too long, whose gaze strips more than flesh. They're searching for beauty, not labor, and when their eyes pass over you, your stomach knots, because you're beginning to understand. The chains are only the beginning. The slave market is a storm of noise, shouts, bargains, cries, orders, barked over the sobbing of children. The smell hits harder, sweat, urine, fear so thick it clings to your tongue, and something else, rot beneath the sun. You're herded toward a platform, stripped, oiled, polished like an object. Not for dignity, but for value. Clean bodies sell better. They line you up with others. A row of boys, each trembling, each waiting to be priced. The auctioneer calls out details. Your age, your origin, your build, your pleasing appearance. Hands paw at you. Fingers pry your mouth open. Others tug your arms, test your grip. One buyer runs his hand through your hair, murmuring about its color. The bidding starts. Voices rise, sharp and eager. You don't move. You don't breathe. You try to disappear inside yourself as strangers fight over you like cattle. Then the voices fall away. A man steps forward, silk robe shimmering in the light, middle-aged, soft hands, rings glittering on every finger. His eyes rest on you, not as though he sees you, but as though he already owns you. Silver changes hands, the chains are unlocked from your neck. You think you're free. You're wrong. You've just been bought by Lysander. His house is larger than your entire village. Marble columns reach high, painted walls shimmer with gods and heroes. Mosaics glitter underfoot, each stone carefully placed to tell a story of glory, but behind the beauty, shadows move. Servants rush through corridors with trays of food and wine. Young men, all beautiful in different ways, all wearing the same look. Eyes down, spirits broken. The overseer takes you in hand. Demetrius, a man who was once a slave himself, now raised high enough to break others. His voice is iron wrapped in cruelty. He lists the rules while leading you down narrow halls. You eat when ordered. You sleep when ordered. You speak only when spoken to. Never look a free man in the eye. Never refuse. Never resist. And then the words that freeze your blood. You are here to serve the master and his guests in whatever capacity they require. His smile tells you exactly what that means. Your quarters are beneath the house. A row of stone cells, thick walls meant to swallow sound. Inside, straw, a thin blanket, a chamber pot. The kind of place meant, not for living, but for waiting. The other slaves greet you with hollow faces. Marcus, your age, eyes carrying wounds deeper than scars. Alexios, older, who whispers warnings in the dark. Philemon, barely 14. His boyhood, long erased. Their stories are the same. Families ruined. Debts paid in flesh. Each voice stripped into a whisper, and tonight they tell you. The symposium begins. The guests will arrive. The drinking will flow, and you will not be invisible anymore. The symposium begins with ceremony. Couches arranged in a circle, men reclining like gods at leisure. Wine flows into silver cups. Slaves glide between them, silent, unseen, pouring, serving, obeying. At first, the talk is lofty. Philosophy, politics, the latest wars. They debate virtue with tongues wet from wine, their voices smooth, measured, proud. But as the night deepens, words change shape, laughter grows sharper, stories turn into boasts, debate slips into mockery, and then their eyes begin to drift, not toward each other, but toward you and the others, slaves standing at the edge of the room, waiting, trembling. It starts small. Pour more wine. Knead my shoulders. Feed me grapes. Simple orders, wrapped in amusement. But the touches linger, the gazes sharpen, until one voice cuts through the noise. An older man, his hair white, his hands jeweled. He points at you. Bring him here. The room stills. Dozens of eyes fix on you as you step forward, legs unsteady, throat dry. The man's smile is soft. Tell me of your home, he says, his hand resting heavy on your shoulder. His questions sound kind. Do you miss your family? Do they treat you well? But the hand slides lower. The grip tightens. The smile twists. The others watch in silence. Some smirk. Some lean forward, eagerly. You try to move away, but his hand will not let you go. And the night turns cruel. After you lie on the straw, staring at the ceiling of stone. Your body aches, but it's your mind that fractures. The laughter still echoes, even in silence. Laughter at your struggle, at your screams, at your humiliation. The others do not ask what happened. They don't need to. Their eyes already carry the same knowledge. Each one has lived their own version of your night. Time slips strangely here. The days blur into the same routine, serving, cleaning, obeying, but the nights belong to the guests, and to their appetites. Some prefer cruelty hidden beneath soft words, turning kindness into a blade. Others are blunt, their violence an open spectacle, and a few take pleasure in inventing new ways to destroy what's left of you. You watch Marcus stumble back one evening, his face bloodied, his eyes empty. Alexios whispers warnings of what certain men demand. Philemon curls in the corner, shivering, as if cold could wash the memory away. Resistance is punished. Marcus once tried to escape, His limp is the memory of what followed. Alexios once refused, 3 days without food or water, chained in the courtyard for all to see. But the overseer tells you resistance only wastes energy. Better to bend, better to submit, better to be useful. And yet, even in silence, a question lingers. How long can you endure before the part of you that is still human disappears? The breaking is slow, not sudden, not sharp, but steady. A drip of cruelty that hollows you out one piece at a time. Isolation does its work first. No family, no friends, only others just as powerless as you, their comfort useless against the system that cages you all. Then comes unpredictability. You never know when you'll be summoned, never know what will be demanded. The smallest mistake, a glance, a hesitation, can mean hours of punishment. So you live in constant dread, every breath a question mark. But the final weapon is identity. They take your name and give you another. Something exotic to their ears, easier to forget. They forbid your tongue, your customs, your gods. Piece by piece, they strip away what made you someone, until you are no one. And the men who do this, they are not monsters in rags. They are philosophers, poets, politicians. The same men praised in histories for wisdom and virtue. Dionysos, famed for speeches on justice, who laughs as he forces boys to crawl at his feet. Cloemenes, a merchant celebrated for charity, who leaves scars as his signature. A philosopher, admired for his writings on ethics, who uses logic to excuse every cruelty. In public, they are honored. In private, they are predators. And when they look at you, they don't see contradiction. They see property, a tool, a toy. Your soul burns with rage, but the lesson settles heavy inside you in Athens. Greatness was built on bodies like yours. Years pass inside that house. Though time no longer feels real, your voice grows flatter, your posture changes. Shoulders hunched, eyes lowered, every movement measured, to avoid notice. The overseers praise you for obedience. You anticipate commands before they're spoken. You pour wine without spilling a drop. You smile when ordered, silent when required. You have become, as they say, the perfect servant. But perfection has a price. The boy who once ran through olive groves is gone. In his place, a hollow vessel, a body that moves, a spirit that hides. And yet, cracks form even in numbness. At the market one day you see him, a boy no older than 13, dark hair, frightened eyes. He looks just like you once did. The same terror, the same desperate hope that someone, anyone, will be kind. Something stirs inside you, sharp and painful. A memory of who you were, of your mother's cooking, your father's laugh, your siblings' voices. The memories cut deeper than the whip, because they remind you of what was stolen. The boy is sold elsewhere, spared your household, but his face follows you into sleep, into silence, into every corner of the house, and for the first time in years you feel dangerous thoughts, not of rebellion, not of freedom, but of remembering, because even a hollow vessel can still carry ghosts. The symposium that night is quieter. No drunken contests, no shouting matches, just older men, reclining with their wine, debating philosophy. They speak of justice, of virtue, of the ideal state. Their words flow smooth, polished, clever. One argues that some people are born for slavery, their souls too weak for freedom. Another insists that even a slave might possess virtue, given the right guidance. Their debate rises and falls, voices calm, refined, as though the world itself hangs on their conclusions. And there you stand, pouring wine, silent, invisible, your wrists still raw from last night's chains, your back still aching from someone's hands. You, their example, their living contradiction, breathing in the room while they theorize about your worth. The irony is poison. Men who preach about virtue while committing cruelty. Men who debate justice while using your body as proof of their power. Men who speak of the good life while stripping life from everyone beneath them. And in that moment, clarity comes. They are not ignorant, not foolish, not blind. They know, they understand, they choose evil anyway. The realization is colder than chains, because it means the cruelty is not an accident of ignorance. It is deliberate, calculated, justified. They built beauty and philosophy on broken bones. They built democracy on the silence of slaves. And the world remembers them as enlightened. You survive by learning absence, to vanish inside yourself while your body obeys, to let your spirit drift above the pain. watching as if it belongs to someone else. The overseers call it progress. They reward you with extra bread, a softer blanket, a cell with a window. Other slaves envy you. But you know the truth. These comforts are the reward for dying inside. The house becomes a machine of suffering. Fresh faces arrive from the markets. Wide-eyed boys who still believe the promises whispered by merchants. They learn quickly, or they break. Some are sold on when their beauty fades, sent to mines or fields to die slowly. Others simply vanish one night, their names unspoken, their absence unacknowledged. The house forgets them instantly. Only the slaves remember, and you, the perfect servant, are now used to prove the system works. Demetrius takes you to the market, parading you as an example of obedience. Buyers nod, impressed by your silence, your lowered gaze, your polished service. He asks your opinion on new boys, which will resist, which will break, which might last. Your answers are cold, automatic. You speak the language of cruelty without hesitation. One day, a boy stands before you, the same frightened eyes, the same trembling shoulders you once carried. He looks at you as if you might save him, but you can't, not anymore. You are his future, and that truth crushes harder than chains. The mines swallow men whole, not with jaws, but with dust and darkness. You are led there in chains, your value spent, no longer beautiful, no longer desirable, just another body to be burned out in the earth. The air is thick, choking your lungs with stone. Tunnels collapse without warning, burying screams in silence. Quotas are impossible, designed to kill slowly. Every cough tastes of iron and ash. Yet here, among the damned, something unexpected lives. The slaves whisper their names to each other. They trade scraps of memory, pieces of lost homelands. Songs hummed too softly for guards to hear. Stories passed mouth to mouth like smuggled bread. Even in the pit, they remember. They remember who they were, and they remember each other. Your own story joins theirs. The boy sold in the sunlight, the child broken in a marble house, the hollow servant who carried ghosts. When your lungs finally collapse, when your body fails, they gather close. They promise to speak your name, to carry it forward, to keep you alive in the only way left, because the world will forget. Historians will praise marble columns and golden words, not the blood beneath them. Philosophers will be remembered for wisdom, not for cruelty. Athens will stand as a cradle of civilization, not as a marketplace of flesh. But the truth lingers in the shadows. Behind every bright column is a hidden scream. Behind every philosophy, a broken child, and the echoes do not die, not in the mines, not in the centuries that follow. They reach us still, because cruelty is timeless, and we are not as far from Athens as we like to believe. If you believe stories like this should never be forgotten, hit like so more people hear them. Subscribe for more hidden histories buried beneath marble and myth. And tell me in the comments, do you think we've truly moved past this cruelty, or do we still wear new masks for the same old horrors?